and we get some family in there somewhere. Yeah, this is fascinating. Well, anyways, I'm Skip Alzheimer. This is the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show. When you watch home movies, you sometimes get a sense of the style and the attention span of the person who's shooting the footage. We've transferred some footage where it's just these long takes that they might have a tripod, or they're just there and they're just sitting there. And then you have some where they just barely understand the concept, and so they're like, take a picture. It's like 5 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second, 1 second, boop, boop, boop. And then sometimes they'll flip it on the side, kind of like a still camera. And some camera people, aren't interested in their family. They're more interested in the architecture, and some of them are. So it kind of goes all over the place. So anyways, we had seen part 1 of that months ago, and so I had part 2 handy. I hope everybody had a good weekend. We had a great weekend. There was no humidity. It was glorious. But it makes me want to watch some 16mm films, because I didn't do that. So let's watch Living Things and Non-Living Things Are Everywhere. Enjoy.
Have you ever thought about what you have in common with elephants? What about these fish? Or this flower? Of course, you're nothing like this paramecium. Or are you? Well, let's think about it. Even though we all look a whole lot different than these giraffes, or these caterpillars, believe it or not, we share many common characteristics. Do you know what they are? We all reproduce. We move on our own. We grow. We need nourishment. We respond to our environment. And we all age and die. There's one more bond all living things share. We are all members of a community, a living community, whose members come in every size, shape, and color. A community of life, the Earth's community, home to all living things. When was the last time you went on an adventure to explore the world around you? Let's join one that's about to begin right now.
The grass that you're sitting on is alive, right? And the trees behind us are alive. Well, what do all these things have in common? I mean, how do we know that they're alive compared to a rock, which isn't alive? Claire, can you tell me some qualities of living things?
Well, usually living things move, but like a little seed, it has to be moved by the wind, or a river could move it. Well, things have to grow. Like when the baby's born, you have to support its neck, and when it gets a little older, it crawls and you don't have to help it. And when it gets a little older, it can walk, run on its own, do a lot of things on its own.
How about you, Eric?
Well, an animal has to breathe air. Anything that's alive has to breathe air.
Trees breathe air?
Yeah,
Through their mouth?
through their leaves.
Through their leaves, okay.
One thing that living things do is reproduce. Like a mother giving birth to a baby. That's a form of reproducing.
Anthony, what else can you tell us about living things?
Well, living things have to eat food to have energy so that they can move. And they need food so that they can reproduce, too.
If something lives, it has to die. It doesn't matter how old they live. Like turtles and trees can live more than 200 years old.
And what happens to living things when they die?
Usually other animals come and eat them.
Okay, you all seem to have a pretty good idea of what's alive and what isn't. Now, I'd like you to do what your goal today is to go out and explore this nature center and its grounds and to find examples of what's living and what isn't. Now, if you can, bring the examples of these things back to the nature center. And if you can't, make a note in your notebook about what you saw or what it is exactly that you wanted to tell us about when we get together again. Now, let's look. Team 1, I'd like to go over to the farm and see what you can find over there. Team 2, you folks get the river and the forest. And don't be afraid to roll over a dead log or reach your hand in the water and pick up a rock. And Team 3, you'll get to stay right here in the meadow and explore the deep grass and maybe bring back some insects for me. Okay, let's meet back in the Nature Center in about 1 hour, and I look forward to seeing what you find in your adventure.
Let's join each team as they carry out their mission. What kind of living and non-living things do you think they'll find?
Welcome back. It looks like you found a lot of interesting examples of living and non-living things on your exploration. Team 1, what did you find down at the farm?
Well, I found these rocks, and it's really called gravel, but they don't have any needs. They don't need any because it doesn't move and it doesn't need any food.
So they're not alive.
Right, they're not alive. And I got these wild flowers, and they're getting kind of wilted, so I'm going to plant them back pretty soon.
Which way are you going to plant those?
This way.
Ah, you have roots down there.
Mm-hmm.
Good. What about you, Amy?
Well, at the farm we could feed the cows and sheep. And, well, we just fed the cows by hand. But with the sheep, you shook a bucket, which had the corn inside, and they'd come running up to you. And if you didn't feed them fast, they would grab the bucket away from you and just start eating it all.
So the sheep, when they heard the sound of the corn, they came running knowing that there would be food there, huh? So
Yeah.
they responded in a way to the noise. Can you show us some of that corn?
Corn is alive, but when they just crushed it and just use it for animals now. We found this nest in the barn. And you know it was hooked onto the side because the side is all flat.
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuck onto.
Mm-hmm. So the birds sort of used the barn, or needed the barn in order to make a
for
home.
Shelter.
Well, it looks like you found a lot of interesting things at the farm. Team 2, what did you find in the forest and by the river?
And we found this moss growing on the tree
All right. How did you know the moss was alive?
because it had this color and it looked like it was growing.
So it was fresh and green then.
Very green and fresh. And we saw a red-tailed hawk, and it had a snake in its hand.
Oh, it did.
Well, rather its claw.
Right, its talons, okay. What was it doing with the snake?
It was probably gonna eat it.
Think so?
Yeah,
So that hawk needed the snake.
yeah.
Okay. Joshua, what did you find?
Well, I found some soil, and I know the soil is not alive, but the little things in it are alive.
Oh, neat.
Like these little roots. Those roots depend on the little bugs that live in there.
Right, you saw some bugs in the
Yeah.
soil. Okay, great. I see you have a spider in the jar here.
Oh, yeah.
Was that spider on the tree or in the soil?
It was inside a dead log.
Oh, it was inside a dead log. The
Yeah.
log was hollow.
Yeah.
So that made a nice home for the spider. Good job, Team 2. Team 3, what did you find in the middle?
We saw a baby red fox. And we found some wildflowers.
How could you tell those flowers were alive?
They were on what looked like a live bush.
Green and
Yeah.
not brown, wilty.
Well, we were chasing a butterfly
Was it alive, or how could you tell it was a butterfly, not just a leaf or something blowing in the wind?
because I saw both of those wings flapping.
Oh, I saw the wings flapping?
We also found this feather from a bird at the edge of the forest.
At the edge of the forest. Did you see any non-living things in that field? Was the sun shining?
Yeah.
The sun was shining, okay. Well, is sunlight living?
Yeah.
You think so? Does it reproduce?
No.
Oh, I thought you told me that reproduction was part of living.
Well, you don't have to.
You don't have to reproduce? Well, if something chose not to reproduce, how long could it go on living?
Not very long.
No, not long at all. So I really don't think they have too much of a choice. If they're going to exist, they better reproduce. Well, we've all enjoyed sharing these things that we found today. Before we put them back, this might be a good time to get up and take a closer look at what we found and what else is in this room.
Their adventure has come to an end, but yours is just beginning. There are all kinds of living and non-living things waiting to be discovered, and a good place to start is in your own backyard. Who knows, an owl like this may live in a tree right outside your home.
Public domain music, Scott Joplin, pretty great. Yeah, 1987. That's after I was out of school. I was in college, well into my college career, and so it's interesting to like those films that were post me being in school tend to resonate with me less because I don't identify with them as much, but that's fine. I'm sure that many of you, it's like that kid was my age, and I should say thank you so much to I had the name and then I totally blanked on it, to William. Thank you, William, for the coffee. That's one way you can support AV Geeks is by going to ko-fi.com/avgeeks and buying us some delicious coffee. Yes. Let's see. We got another late 80s Encyclopedia Britannica science film. This is Light Science. You can do it. Enjoy.
try this experiment. With a ruler, make a straight line along the light beam. As long as the holes are lined up, the light passes through with no problem. If we move the holes away from the straight line, the light won't bend itself through the holes. But are there ways to change the direction of light? Let's pretend that these three balls are part of a light beam. As the balls travel down the board, they meet a smooth, straight surface. Notice that they all change direction the same way. No matter how many times we repeat this experiment, the balls bounce off in the same predictable direction. Now let's try the balls on a rough, uneven surface. They seem to go off in all directions. Every time we do the experiment, they behave differently. Will light behave the same way the balls did? Let's try bouncing a light beam off this straight-surfaced glass. The pattern of the light beam bounces off the glass and onto the wall in a regular, predictable way. If we substitute a crumpled, irregular surface for the smooth one, something different seems to happen. All we see is a fuzzy glow of light on the wall, not a predictable pattern. In general, we can say that smooth surfaces like this glass are good reflectors, and that irregular surfaces are poor reflectors. There is something else that is very predictable about reflected light. A mirror and a protractor will help us see what it is. By measuring the angle between the mirror and the light beam striking it, we notice a curious fact. This angle is identical to the angle between the mirror and the reflected light beam. No matter how we change the first angle, the second will always equal it. But there are other predictable properties of light. A mirror is normally what we think of when speaking of reflected surfaces. We can observe that our image seems to be standing behind the mirror. The reflecting rays of light are all coming back to us as if they were from the same size person behind the mirror. In fact, it appears to be the same distance from the mirror to the image as from us to the mirror. There is one thing different about our image in the mirror, however. Everything seems to be backwards. This is a very handy property of reflecting light. If we work it right, this secret code writing system will allow us to send messages that most people can't decode. But not all reflective surfaces create normal sizes and shapes. The two sides of this spoon seem to create completely different images. Why is this? A curved shape to a mirror seems to create this strange image. If we bend the mirror outwards, the image becomes very small. The curved surface makes it appear that the rays of light are coming from a smaller person. We call this kind of mirror a convex mirror. On the other hand, bending the mirror inward creates a different image. This concave mirror is concentrating the rays of light in front of the mirror. At some point, these rays meet in one spot. We call this spot the focal point. When the rays pass the focal point, the image is formed upside down. There is another way that light can change direction. If we shine a strong beam of light through this milky water, we can make a very interesting observation. Where the beam of light leaves the air and enters the water, it bends very noticeably. Think of the light beam as having a certain width. As the beam hits the water at an angle, one side slows down sooner. This causes the beam of light to bend toward the surface of the water. The opposite effect happens when the beam leaves the water and speeds up in the air. The side leaving first speeds up sooner and bends the light away from the surface of the water. This type of bending is called refraction. Even a very small drop of water can cause strange bendings of light. The refraction, or bending of light through this water drop, focuses the light into the center of the white spot. Notice that the area where the rays of light are no longer striking has gone black. Light passing back through our water drop also does a very unique thing. Very small print can suddenly become very large. Pieces of glass that refract light and change the size of images are called lenses. Lenses not only make things bigger and smaller, but they also make things clear or fuzzy. Using a lens, a light, and a screen, we can change the focus of a projected image. Move the lens closer to the light. Now move the screen so that the image is sharp again. Measure the distance between the light and lens and the lens and screen. Try this several times. You will notice that as the lens gets closer to the light, you have to move the screen further away to keep the image focused. This property of lenses is very important to many people. For example, some of you may have had trouble seeing things close up, but you can see things far away. This means you are far-sighted. For the normal eye, images are sharply focused on the retina. However, if you are far-sighted, your retina is too close to your natural lens, and you'll have trouble focusing an image. Glasses or contacts made of convex lenses help concentrate the light and move the image forward so it focuses on the retina. Other people can see things close up, while things at a distance won't focus. These people are nearsighted. Again, the shape of the eye is the problem. Nearsighted people have retinas that are too far from their natural lenses, and images are hard to focus. Concave lenses that spread the light out will help focus the image onto the retina. Magic. Maybe magicians can still play tricks on us, but now that we understand reflection and refraction, lenses and mirrors, now that we understand the properties of light, maybe things will be just a little bit clearer.
cut that off. It was 1986, I believe. Yeah, fascinating stuff. Of course, lenses, make AV Geeks possible, because it's all about lenses. It's all about lenses on cameras. It's all about lenses on projectors. It's all about lenses on film scanners. It's all about lenses on webcams. It's all about lenses in these glasses, which I didn't need until college, when I realized, like, oh, I'm having problems reading what is being written on the blackboard in calculus classes. Anyhow, let's see what we got. Oh yeah, so on the film scanner, I have a film made by Centron, which is the one of the big three educational film companies. And Centron has an interesting history, just like Cornet, in that it was being bought and making deals. So at one point, Centron was owned by Cornet, and then one time it went back, and then it was kind of bounced around, and now it's kind of in this weird limbo state. I think University of Kansas has the films, but I don't know if they actually have the rights. So we're trying to figure that out, because I would love to do a big Centron digitizing project, but we're still trying to hash it out. And there is a documentary about Centron in the works, I know about. I've been reached out about that. So anyways, we got the film set up here. Let's watch AB's Playground Safety. You know what? I didn't actually look to see if we actually have shown this film. After all that, it's Playground Spirits, Primary Safety on the Playground, Uncle Smiley in the Junkyard Playground, Safety on the Playground. Yeah, I don't think we've shown this one. All right, Playground Safety, simple as ABC. Enjoy.
Dinky Poor didn't really mean to start the story about the huge sea monster in Strawberry Lake. He was only telling a fib because he had to have an excuse for getting home late for supper. So he told his
If you're like most kids, your very favorite time of day is recess. Once outside, the race is on. But wait a second. Stop! Did you know that every year thousands of children like you are hurt in playground accidents? It's true. That's why you need to learn and practice the rules of playground safety. They're as simple as ABC. Learning the rules of playground safety isn't as difficult as you might think. In fact, it's easy. All you have to do is remember the first 4 letters of the alphabet. Each safety rule starts with one of these letters. The A stands for the first rule of playground safety. Avoid unsafe playground behavior. What kind of behavior is unsafe? A couple of foolish friends will demonstrate. Okay, guys, you're on. Here's one kind of unsafe behavior to avoid. Plain old roughhousing. This kind of rowdy behavior may be fun, but it isn't very safe. especially on a hard, paved playground. Sooner or later, someone usually gets hurt. Many accidents are caused by this kind of unsafe behavior, using playground equipment improperly. It seems there's always somebody trying to act like a stuntman or daredevil. Avoid this kind of behavior. It's unsafe. Never jump from swings. Never play tag or king of the mountain on climbing structures. And avoid foolish daredevil stunts. The results may not be what you expected. Also, stay off the volleyball and tetherball standards. Rocking them can be dangerous. Here's something else that can be dangerous: eating or chewing gum during playground activities. Why? Because there's a chance you might get choked while you're playing. So remember, avoid all unsafe behavior on the playground. The B of the ABCs of playground safety stands for be safety-minded. To be safety-minded, you must know the rules for using each type of playground equipment. Let's take a look at the rules for using the slide first. When you climb the ladder, hang on with both hands. Take those steps one at a time. Don't be in a hurry. You should stay well behind the person ahead of you, unless you like the taste of shoe leather. When it's your turn, wait until the slide is clear and everyone is out of the way before you start down. Slide one person at a time, sitting up, and always slide feet first. Quickly move away from the bottom of the slide. Being safety-minded on climbing structures means using them only when they're dry and free of ice. They're slippery and dangerous when wet. On metal climbing structures, always grip the bars with both hands, except when you're changing positions. Use a good firm grip with your thumb wrapped around the bar. And remember, never push or shove each other on balance beams. You might cause someone to have a painful fall. Be safety-minded on horizontal ladders, too. They come in different sizes, so use the one that's the right size for you. Everyone should start from the same end, move in the same direction, and keep a safe distance from the person ahead. Watch out for swinging feet. When you drop from the horizontal ladder, try to land on both feet and bend your knees slightly as you land. This helps cushion your fall. It's really important to be safety-minded around swings and teeter-totters because there's a bigger chance of accidents around moving equipment. The thing to remember here is keep a safe distance while waiting your turn. If you should get too close, you could be hit by a moving swing and be badly hurt. Never get close to a swing until the person ahead comes to a complete stop. When it's your turn, sit down, one person to a swing, and face the same direction as those next to you. Always swing sitting down, never standing up. And hold on with both hands. When your turn is over, come to a complete stop before you leave the swing. Remember, no jumping. Now for the teeter-totter. There's a right way and a wrong way to use the teeter-totter.
Whee! Whee!
Obviously, this is the wrong way.
Whee! Yeah!
Somebody could get hurt. Now, let's see the right way, the safety-minded way. First, there should be only one person on each end at a time. Always sit facing each other and hold on with both hands. Avoid bumping or going too fast. That's dangerous and could break the teeter-totter. Always warn your partner before you get off.
I want to get off now.
Then get off at the same time, keeping the board as level as possible. Be safety-minded when you play games, too. Tag lightly with one hand. Never play tag like this. When you get a hit playing softball, avoid throwing the bat. It might hit someone. Instead, drop it on the way to first base. Of course, in any softball game, the catcher should always wear a mask for protection. Here's another thing to remember. Keep your eye on the ball, even when you're not playing the game. Otherwise, you might be hit by a foul ball or a wild throw. That was a close one. To be safe, stay behind the backstop, but keep your eye on the ball. If you wear glasses, here's another way to be safety-minded. Remove your glasses or wear eyeglass guards when you play active games such as volleyball. And no matter what games you play, never play barefooted. Looks like he had to learn this point the hard way. So keep your shoes on whenever you're on the playground. The things you don't want on you are combs, pencils, pens, and scissors. At least not while you're playing. These sharp items can be dangerous on the playground. So be safety-minded and leave them in the classroom. Here's the safety-minded way to run races and relays. Use a chalk line or a rope for a turning line. And make sure that it's a few feet in front of any fences or other obstacles. Never use a fence. You may run into it and hurt yourself. One more thing you need to be safety-minded about. Dogs that wander onto the playground. A dog may look friendly, but he just might be hungry. So be safety-minded and stay away from strange dogs. Now for the C of the ABCs of playground safety. Courtesy helps prevent accidents. Being courteous means waiting your turn in playground games. Unfortunately, this seems difficult for some children. Kids who aren't courteous are the ones who push and shove and disrupt the fun others are having. One thing about kids who aren't courteous, they don't have many friends.
We want our ball back, you dirty rat! Give us our ball back!
If you want to have friends, learn to be courteous. Be willing to share and let others play. Wait your turn without crowding and pushing. You'll prevent hard falls and hard feelings. Another thing, if you're courteous, you'll never throw a ball to a friend who's not watching. If you do, he may not want to be your friend anymore.
Boy, when I get him, I'm going to really get...
Courtesy also means watching where you're going. Otherwise, you may interfere with the games other groups are playing, maybe even cause an accident. Courtesy also means being a good sport and playing games according to the rules. When you obey the rules, you'll be a better player and you'll help prevent accidents too. If you don't understand the rules of a game, ask your teacher to explain them to you. Another thing, if your teacher ever needs to correct you or remind you of any of the rules of playground safety, be courteous and follow the instructions promptly.
If you know better, you got to think of yourself and other people. That's dangerous. Quit it right now. Both of you come right on over here.
Keep in mind that it's the teacher's job to help you play safely and have fun. So remember, courtesy helps prevent accidents. The final letter, D, stands for do your part to make your playground safe. How? One way is to take care of your playground equipment. Never be guilty of this kind of behavior.
Stupid. You dummy, you're supposed to do that. That's really weird. Dad, what's the matter with you?
When your playmates make fun of you, you can really feel small. So do your part. Take care of playground equipment. Here's something else you can do to make your playground safe. Watch out for broken equipment and unsafe conditions. For example, a loose or missing bolt here could cause a dangerous fall. Report missing parts and loose or broken equipment to your teacher immediately.
Fix it for us. Make sure the other boys and girls stay off the slide today, Wayne.
Okay.
Also, report any other safety hazards you may find on the playground before they cause an accident. Finally, do your part to keep your playground clean. Being a litter bug can cause accidents. Don't be a litter bug. Put candy wrappers, chewing gum, banana peels, and papers where they belong. You'll be doing your part to make your playground a clean, pleasant, safe place to play. So remember the ABCs of playground safety. A, avoid unsafe playground behavior. B, be safety-minded. C, courtesy helps prevent accidents. And D, do your part to make your playground safe. Practice these rules and you'll make your playground a safer, better place to play.
Great. Where am I? Yeah. An instructional film. Before we go on to the playground, we would like you to watch a film on how to use a slide and how to get on and off a seesaw. Seesaws, man, they were... I remember biting my lip several times because some kid would jump off the seesaw and I'd slam down and bite my tongue. Yeah, that's a tough negotiation for two kids to figure out. And is probably there's a whole study on sociology in kids and seesaws and how they interact. And how many of them were sociopaths, etc. The ones who always jumped off and didn't really think about the other kid. And that comment about don't be a stuntman. So I think it was third grade. My parents got me cowboy boots, and so I was very excited to wear cowboy boots. And I also had this denim jacket that was a little padded because it was fall in Ohio, suburban Ohio, and that was my uniform for jumping off of swings. Like that was my padding and my protection for my feet. And so that's what we would do. There's a couple of us. We would get on the swings and go really, really, high and then jump off. Boom. I remember being very excited to do that because, that that free fall is so fun. From the slide. From the swing. And of course, some kid would get in the way and woof, you'd get him in the gut, or I would be gotten in the gut. But, playgrounds, that's the great proving ground for young kids where you learn a lot about other kids and about yourself. There's very little, I think, you can regulate it a little bit, but there's still... Kids go wild, man. All this social interaction. There's a film that I've shown in the past called When Should Grown-Ups Break Up Fights? And it's basically for people that run kindergartens and daycares. And it's basically, and I think it was made in the 50s. And it's basically like, all right, well, let's look on a case-by-case basis of these various fights that are taking place between kids and figure out whether or not we should break them up or we should let them have a moment to kind of figure it out on their own. childhood development stuff. It's really fascinating. And I'm sure that any parent would like, what? No, you should always break up kids fights. But thanks for tuning in today. Let's see. God, I think I need some more coffee. I was scanning some slides with an automated slide scanner for my family, and there's this little thing that pops out, and it knocked my coffee off this little table. Why I had it next to the slide scanner, I don't know. So I was able to, because I was using a French press mug, I was able to keep most of the coffee, but I think I lost like that much coffee, which might have just been enough to tip me over. So Jeremy, thank you, and William, thank you for the coffee at ko-fi.com/avgeeks. You could also donate at patreon.com/avgeeks. And just hit the subscribe button, the thumbs up button. Those are free things that you can do to show that you like what we're doing over here, and that we do it every day. Yeah, so maybe I'll make some coffee or something. I don't know. I'll have to figure that out. But join us tomorrow, Tuesday. Another day, some more films. It'll be exciting. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you soon. Take care. William. Arr.